Good morning and welcome to the Daily Cyber Briefing for Thursday, the 20th of February. I'm Stephen Ridgway. There is a vulnerability in Citrix NetScaler, which is being tracked as CVE 2024-12284 and scores 8.8 on the CVSS 4.0 severity scale. Severity scale. It is a vulnerability in NetScaler console, which was previously known as NetScaler ADM, and also NetScaler agent deployments, and it leads to privilege escalation attacks. The vulnerability stems from improper privilege management within the console's authorization network. So attackers with valid credentials, whether official or compromised accounts, can bypass the permissions checks to execute operating system commands with elevated privileges. Again, given what Citrix NetScaler does, that's pretty serious. So there are patches available for this. So if you are running Citrix NetScaler console, or as part of the Citrix NetScaler environment, definitely have a look. Good article explaining also some mitigations to this particular issue, including, as we mentioned earlier this week, and we've mentioned many times before, proper network segmentation. Don't allow your management interfaces to be accessible to anybody other than people who should be managing the device. You can also hand off authentication via LDAP or Radius or whatever in order to improve the improve the security around the authentication process. So various things that you can do, but address it head on by patching if you can. Appreciate again that being Network Kit, arranging downtime for these things, if downtime actually is required, may be difficult, but that's not really an excuse for leaving vulnerable devices open to exploitation. There is also a vulnerability in the Windows Disk Cleanup tool with an exploit that allows system privilege escalation or escalation to system privilege levels. It is tracked as CVE 2025 21420. And it's a vulnerability in clean mgr.exe. Has been patched. It was patched in the February round of Patch Tuesday updates. This particular vulnerability scores 7.8, although goodness only knows which CVSS scale that's being measured on. They don't say in the article, but let's be honest, that's high enough to take this seriously. It basically leverages clean managers' use of privileged execution, which of course it has to because it's moving stuff around on the disk, right? So it has elevated writes. It uses those to load, in a malicious context when exploited, it uses those to load unsigned DLLs, or can be used to load unsigned DLLs. And what's been seen is exactly that. There's some a good example of the sort of things that can go wrong in this article from GB Hackers. Definitely worth a read if you are concerned in any way about this sort of stuff. Mitigations, well, basically patch. Also, if you don't already, it is worth auditing systems for unauthorized DLLs. Totally agree with that as a recommendation. Ideally, have some monitoring in your endpoint protection solution, which identifies unauthorized DLLs, and try and be a little bit corporate about this whole thing. Know what people are supposed to be running on their devices, and know when those things are, when things are not right. It isn't difficult, but surprisingly, it is not being done well in a lot of organisations, increasingly at the moment. So the sort of combination of those two things, auditing the systems for unauthorized DLLs, but also having something in place which monitors and listens for system utility changes, that sort of stuff. So there's a full breakdown of this vulnerability or this particular issue in Microsoft Security Advisory ADV 25002. So definitely worth having a look at. And again, as we've said many times before, rapid patching, especially in Windows environments, is less problematic than avoiding patching and then trying to catch up later. So I said it before, patch and be damned. Finally from me today, Medusa ransomware gang is demanding $2 million. Well, they say $2 million, but I don't know whether that's actually $2 million or £2 million from UK private health services provider. So information has been stolen from HCRG Care Group. HCRG Care Group used to be known as Virgin Care. It's now owned by 2020 Capital. It provides services across the UK for a variety of NHS trusts and local authorities. A fairly big organisation, 5,000 people in the workforce, something like 250 million turnover. So, a pretty big organisation. It's lost, or had stolen rather, over 2 terabytes of data. Initial leaks appear to indicate that a lot of this stuff is internal to employees. So, things like passport scans and so on and so forth. However, if your NHS trust is using this particular private health and social services provider, just be aware that your data may have been swept up in this. Is there anything we can do? Not really, other than be vigilant. Make sure that anything that looks suspicious that's coming your way, that may have been derived from knowledge of you that could be gained through your healthcare providers. Treat with caution and double check that who it is that's contacting you actually is really who they say they are, because the information that's stolen is, amongst various other things, it is often used to make phishing seem more realistic. Keep an eye out for that one. I haven't heard anything about what's being done regarding this. The ransom is about £1.6 million, and there is a deadline of the 27th of February for paying that, or alternatively £8,000 a day to delay the release of the data. So we will see what HCRG Care Group does in that respect. Interestingly, as we spoke about, I think it was last week, it is now quite a small percentage of organisations that actually pay ransoms. We'll see what happens here. Oh yeah, and the other thing which is interesting to note is that there appears to have been no impact to service as a consequence of this. So where we were talking about the impact of ransomware being more around data theft than actual downtime. I think that's because most people have matured their systems to the point where coping with ransomware attacks is not as hard as it used to be. Anyway, that's all from me for today. Hope you have a good Thursday, and I will speak to you all again tomorrow.